Welcome everyone to the 9th episode of the 792 Florida Sports Podcast. I'm Hunter Williams, joined by Brendan Johnson from Johnson Sports. Welcome aboard.
Thanks for having me.
All right. So obviously we do see some pretty good games up in this area for this week, and there was some pretty good ones this past week as well. So as well as statewide. So I'll run through it. I got a chance to check out Columbia versus Gainesville this past week over at Citizens Field. In Columbia, Gainesville, I got basically what I expected. Of course, with we never really get favorable calls with the officials there. And Gainesville does find a way to play teams tough whenever they play at Citizens. So I was not overly surprised that this was not a running clock, but it was very clear by the end of the game that Columbia was the better team. Overall, I would say that Gainesville, this is probably one of the weakest overall Gainesville teams that I've probably seen, at least since I started following more than just my team. I don't know how they might be lucky to get 2 or 3 wins by the end of this year. Their schedule's not really getting that much easier than it already was. They might beat Middleburg, but after that, they'll probably be lucky to get any other wins besides that one.
Most definitely agreed.
So for some other scores, though, that I was able to see, Madison, who actually were playing this week, they dropped an overtime game down in St. Petersburg to Lakewood 21-20. IMG knocked off Booker T. Washington 51-14. Aquinas beat Carroll City 45-24. Edgewater knocked off Wekiva 52-21. Escambia went to a tight battle and beat Milton 22-15. Niceville beat Navarre 27. Vanguard knocked off previously unbeaten North Marion 18-14. Beholtz knocked off First Coast 33-20. Oakleaf knocked off Sandalwood 37-22. Fleming Island beat Creekside, who up at this point done looked pretty good, 37-21. And probably the biggest upset in North Florida last week, Westside knocked off Baker County 24-20, and now they are 3 wins away from being 9-1 and district champs, as they have to now knock off Bishop Kenny, Ed White, and I believe it's Terry Parker they have to beat in the in week 10.
Correct. They still play Terry Parker as well.
Trinity Christian also blew out another South Florida team for the second week in a row as they knocked off Pahokee 42-7, and Tampa Jesuit knocked off Chamberlain 24-13. But back to that west side, that was very impressive for them to be able to go to Baker County and win, even though I did actually feel like they were going to win that game, even though I don't think I had that on our list of picks for last week, though.
Yeah, I actually picked Westside to win that game as well. I mean, both are really good. Westside is they've been very impressive this season. I mean, they have been slept on for so long in Duval, and They played a really good game against Baker. It was very close, and Baker County's been doing pretty well as well. So that was, if you were there to see that game, I promise you will not forget that.
Do you think at this point, now that they've knocked out Baker County, that they're probably I would say the favorite heading into those last 3 games?
I feel like they'll definitely win the district with the way things are looking. I mean, that rivalry game against Ed White will definitely be that deciding matchup right there for them. And if they win against Ed White, chances are they'll definitely win their district and make it to the playoffs for the first time since 2014, I believe, was the last time Westside went to the playoffs. It was right around there.
And they played Dixie County in the week 11. At this point, I honestly think Westside beats Dixie County, so they could be 9-1 heading into the playoffs. Maybe not the best schedule, but that would be very good for that program to be going into the playoffs as easily a top 3 seed in that region.
Oh, no doubt. They'll definitely be playing a tough Dixie County team as well. And Dixie County's been showing up in 1A as well. So that will definitely be a tough last test for them as well.
But there were some pretty good games that last week. But of course, there's also some very good ones for this week as well, which we're about to hit on now. I guess we'll start with the game that I'm going to be going to. Columbia traveling to Boot Hill to face Madison County. In this game, I'm actually going to go Columbia by 14 on the road in this game.
Oh, yeah, that's a good pick right there. Madison County is definitely impressive. They're like one of the smallest schools in North Florida you would ever see that would compete against bigger teams. I mean, heck, you saw them how they played against Lakewood last week. Very impressive. So my guess is I feel like Columbia would win at least by, I would say, a touchdown, maybe 2 touchdowns. It's kind of hard for me to choose, honestly, because Madison County is definitely impressive as well.
And they're also
Columbia is just a big team, you know.
They're also tough to play at Boot Hill, which I think that's what most of the people at Madison is why they're probably feeling like they can win this game is because it's on their turf.
Yeah, definitely. But I still feel Columbia will win this. But if Madison pulls that off, I mean, that team should have no trouble with the rest of the season because Columbia is definitely one of the best in the state, and Madison County is definitely the best in 1A. No question at all.
Another game, this one's an all-Duval matchup, Rains versus Sandalwood. This feels like the point of the season where Sandalwood slowly starts to, basically, they start hot and then they slowly lose steam as we head into October. I'm going to say Rains by at least 10 here.
Yeah, this one's definitely tough for me to pick as well. Rains, they're a little bit younger, but they've won state the last 2 years. They've been impressive. They've got a great coaching staff. And Sandalwood, they got all this talent as well. But I feel like I got Rains winning by 2 touchdowns on this one.
Yeah, that's a pretty 2 touchdowns. That sounds about right to me. Another one. This is going to be the third week in a row. Trinity Christian, they're going to be playing a South Florida team, but for the first time in this 3-week stretch, it's going to be taking place down in South Florida, which is going to make it a lot tougher. But the way Trinity is playing right now, I feel like they're on a roll. I'm actually going to take Trinity in an upset here by 4 over Miami Washington at Traz Powell.
Yeah, this one's it's definitely a game of the week right here. Booker T. Washington and Miami, they've always been a very impressive team. And Trinity, they got a really tough schedule. And it seemed like they kind of had a rocky start, putting the puzzle pieces together. And this one's definitely going to be another tough one, I believe. And Trinity they've got good players on that team. I mean, they have some really great players. This one, I'm going to go with Trinity by a touchdown.
Okay.
Trinity will win by a touchdown.
Carroll City versus Vanguard. This one, I believe, is up in Ocala. And the way Carroll City, they've gotten blown out the past 2 weeks, first by Trinity and then by Aquinas. This team is not, I don't think, Carroll City is definitely a team that has talent, but it just feels like at this point, they're slowly, falling apart. For what reason, I have no idea. But the way they're playing right now, it's tough for me to pick them in any game. I'm going to take Vanguard pulling off what...
Technical difficulties?
No, not really. But, yeah, I'll take Vanguard by 4. So, what's your thoughts with the Carroll City Vanguard game?
Man, I'm definitely going with Vanguard on this game. I mean, Carroll City, they've got great players, but they seem like to be very disappointing with some of their games, which they've had a very tough schedule, but I got Vanguard winning by 3 touchdowns against Carroll City.
Oh, wow. Now, that would be very interesting.
I feel like it would be, for sure. I mean, like I said, Carroll City, they've got a tough schedule as well, but they haven't been too impressive recently.
If Vanguard could beat them by 3 touchdowns, that would definitely add a lot of credibility to North Florida.
Oh, most definitely.
And for what looks like basically a West Side Jacksonville matchup, Lee versus Ribault. I'm going to go Lee by 14 here.
Now that one I could definitely speak of. I've got Lee by 3 touchdowns, and the reason why is Lee. They're young also. They're kind of like Reigns. They're a young team as well, but they've been definitely getting the pieces together with their team. First off, they beat Reigns and Vanderbilt, who are both defending state champions. They've been very impressive ever since their loss to Marcham, in my opinion. And Ribault's got a young team that I don't think they figured anything out yet exactly with what's been going on with them or what their issues is. And Ribault's got some great players as well. But I've got Lee winning by 3 touchdowns at least.
Is this a game that you might... Oh, yeah, speaking of games that you might go to, Mandarin versus St. Thomas Aquinas. It's tough to go against a North Florida team, but Aquinas, I'm thinking by 24 here. If this was last year's Mandarin team, I could see a very tight battle with this one, but they're just not really looking as strong right now compared to, of course, last year. So what's your thoughts, I know you're a Mandarin grad, and this is going to definitely be a tough matchup for your alma mater.
Yeah, this is going to be a big deal. I mean, Mandarin, they've got some great players on that team for sure, and I've seen it when I've been to some of their games. They really have some great players. They're getting their offense together. Carson Beck's been impressive. But this game right here is gonna be the toughest game all year. I don't know how any other game could be tougher. But I really hate saying this, but I got St. Thomas winning by 2 touchdowns.
Okay. And this one's an out-of-state game. Edgewater from Orlando area, which is a team that ended Lee's season last year. They're going to be going up to Georgia to face Marietta. Edgewater has looked on fire the last few weeks. I'm going to say that continues as they knock off Marietta by a touchdown.
Yeah, I got Edgewater winning by a touchdown as well. That's what I was just thinking of as well. And Edgewater's got a great team too. Probably the best Orlando football school there is right now.
Yeah, I got them in my top 5 for Florida, which I'll get to later in the show. So this one, I guess, technically involves a Northeast team. DeLand will be playing Vieira. I'm going to actually go DeLand by 10 here.
Yeah, I like this matchup. It's a good matchup between these two teams. DeLand, years ago, they were not the team that, they were not that good. They were highly disappointing. And I remember last year when they were playing in their district, they made the playoffs, and they've been very impressive. And Vieira's a pretty good team from the Melbourne area. And this one, I got DeLand winning by 17 points.
All right. Jones versus Apopka. This is a battle between 2 very good programs in that Orlando area as well. I'm going to say Jones pulls off a 3-point win here, but Apopka, they're very that's one of annually one of the best teams in that area year to year. Jones looks hot right now though, so I'm thinking they could pull out a close win here.
That's the pick I was actually going to go with. Jones they've been very impressive all year, so I'm going with Jones by a touchdown.
Okay. Another out-of-state matchup, which I don't think I really see that often. We got Rockledge going up to St. Ignace, Ohio. That's going to be a tough challenge for them to go on the road. But from what I've seen from Rockledge and from people I've talked to, they're a very good team. I'm going to actually take them by a touchdown up in Ohio.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about this matchup because I don't know about that team in Ohio. But I know Rockledge has a reputation around the state for being good. So I'm going to have to skip out on this pick.
Okay. This one's going to be a pretty interesting matchup as well. Clearwater Academy International versus Atlantic Delray. if at the beginning of the season I would have not thought anything of a matchup like this, but from what I've heard about